for Instagram, so I don't look all not sitting there balancing the Instagram. Like if you saw the duct tape and glue that goes into me trying to put this this stream together, it's well, I promised you it's not going to be the most professional thing, and I do keep my promises. All right, let me just get us going. Well, I don't understand. I'm clicking video. No, I don't want to do that. So I'm struggling through the day. This is going to be probably one of the busiest days of my life. So end call. Instagram is calling somebody. I don't know, go figure that out. And I don't understand why won't it work? I'm pressing Hangout video. Is that something new on Instagram? Anyways, okay. First, while I figure this out, I just want to wish all of you a very, very good morning and the best morning of your week. That this is, oh, I see what I was in the messaging thing. All right, here we go. All right, I feel that sense of accomplishment, like I've done something, even though I gotta turn all of this around. So yeah, today has been already a crazy day, and it's one of those days. I don't know, you ever have one of those days where it's like minute to minute, you gotta organize where you're gonna be and when and at what time, and gotta go to one bank, go to another. That's my day today, and for some reason that seems to be my Saturdays for I don't know, for whatever reason, what's going on in the world. So good morning to all of you, and welcome to the most positive day of your life. I hope at least it's the most positive day of your Saturday, September 24th, 2022. So I want to thank you all for coming here, and we're here coming together to again celebrate the freedoms that we have, and we're going to work on trying to expand the freedoms that we're trying to gain in the future. So I want to, and I want that to kind of, I think I've mentioned before, that's kind of the vibe, that we're going to sit here and focus on positivity so much, not so much politics. Like, yeah, politics does come into it from time to time. Good morning, Beth. Politics does come into it. Good morning, Megan. But I mean, I don't want this to be, you know, the politics space. Like, how dull and boring. There's so many other things in life. There's so many good things that are going on in life. There's so many things that we can learn together. And please, I don't want to do what Scott Adams does. He does this funny thing where the simultaneous sip, and it gets everybody in the same sort of headspace together as they all, you know, take a sip of coffee together. And I think it's a little cheesy of a ripoff, but it's a brilliant strategy to get everybody kind of in the same headspace. So I'm not going to tell you take a sip of coffee right now, but that's what I'm going to do. So that felt good. And so now we're in the place of positive dopamine, and we're going to talk about some of the nonsense that's going on in the world from a positive perspective. And it's funny, we live in this world of, I don't know, people struggle sometimes to distinguish between positive and negative, and I think that's because of these disingenuous narratives that come out of legacy media, and sometimes alternative media as well, right? Like I'm of the mind, there's not, you know, legacy media versus alternative media. There's legacy media, alternative media, and political media. Political media meaning companies or platforms that are aligned with one or two particular political parties exclusively, and they act as mouthpieces for political parties, which is fine if they're open about it. When they're not open about it and they try to say that they're objective, that's a problem. Kiss Junkie, hi everyone, happy Saturday, good to see you too. I may have to switch to a different stream. My connection is bad. Okay, that's better. All right. Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for your wonderful comments online. I'm glad. I hope. I mean, I was trying to help, and I hope I did to some degree. And thank you for all your words of praise. I don't know if they're justified. I'm just kind of doing my own thing, trying to help out a little bit here. But thank you. So I don't have any notes today because I was scrambling to get everything done. And then, you go to, it's one of those days where, okay, I got 60 seconds, click print, and then boom, doesn't print. Like, what are you going to do? It is what it is. Anyways, so we're just going to kind of, fly by the seat of our pants today and see what we can do. So, honkingforfreedom.locals.com. That's this camera here. That's where Kiss Junkie and Beth are frequently in the chat. And that is a free speech chat, so you don't have to worry about posting something. Sometimes people post stuff in the Facebook or Twitter or YouTube chat, and it gets censored. That's not going to happen on Locals, so feel free to join there at any time. There is a promo code, the letters FREE, capital letters, and the number 6. Some people have gotten it to work, other people have not. I don't know why. I'm not tech support, but and I have not been able to figure it out myself, so I do apologize for that. But I think I'm going to be moving more towards, over time, focusing just on YouTube and Locals, just to aggregate the audience easier. I was thinking about, do I throw it on Twitch and DLive and all these other platforms? I'm like, it's just kind of, who wants to see me that much, right? I'm just some guy talking. So, remember yesterday, we were talking about how Friday is the most positive day of the week because you're just leading into the weekend, and for many people, that's the first of 2 nights where you're going to go out and visit friends and go socialize and all that sort of stuff. I started my Friday by being by being summoned to testify in Ottawa during the Emergency Measures Act hearings. So that's going to be interesting. And these are the hearings, the commission that everybody's been talking about. And there's been a lot of things going on behind the scenes and jockeying, and it's really quite creepy how some things function, but it is what it is. And I'll get more into that over time as the details come out, or as we need them to come out, because right now, like this is a problem with any sort of proceedings. Sometimes you got to be careful what you say, because you need to save it for any sort of testimony or whatever. I'm a little bit more open than most people, but I'm also aware of that, and I'm sensitive to that and trying to have respect for the process and the proceedings as well. But I promise you'll want to watch my testimony when it's there, and it should be very, very enlightening. But I was thinking about it. Is this why the Arrive Can was ended? And think about it. The Arrive Can ends, and a couple days later, I get a summons that was, obviously it was decided right around the same time. And you might think it's a little bit egotistical of me to consider that, and maybe it is. It could be. However, amongst all the Freedom Convoy people, the reality is, and I'm just going to be straight, I'm going to be the most difficult to smear. And they know that, because I don't have any extreme views. In fact, Prime Minister Blackface has significantly more extreme views politically than I do. I'm very libertarian. So what does that mean? Yeah, I'm very conservative fiscally on many issues. I still lean towards, conservatism when it comes to like national security and that sort of stuff. But I'm very libertarian on social issues. Very kind of, let others live their life the way they want and don't intrude on other people, which is not something, that's not a discipline of conservatism necessarily. And that's definitely not the worldview of the blackface liberals who want to control everything you do and control the decisions that you make. and tell you how you have to leave your life. I'm not like that. I am just, hey, you do what you want as long as it's not harming me or other people, then great. And I have some, a history of being involved in certain political causes when I was a lot more involved politically than I am now, because I'm basically not at this point. That it would be very difficult to try and paint that as far right, which is becoming the new term, by the way, for objectivism. This is from Kiss Junkie. The connection you helped me make is wonderful, and I am grateful. Was telling my daughter the wheels are turning for both of us. We're going to come up with a strategy to put our grief to good use. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Oh my God, that makes my day. And it's so good to hear that. You know why? Like, we can all live a life of struggle that is, I don't want to say it's easy, but that's kind of the path of least resistance. But the most difficult and the more rewarding path is turning these negative experiences you've had into a positive, and for the betterment of society and other people. So I'm so happy to hear that. That's amazing. And just make sure to keep it organized, something that I struggle with just because I have so many things on the go. I would recommend Getting Things Done by David Allen and the Checklist Manifesto. Build a strategy around that, and then that'll just help you it's kind of like, you're trying to go somewhere. You're trying to go somewhere in your real life, but you need a car, you need a vehicle. Well, the vehicle is the organizational structure, and you're the momentum. And I don't like the goals. I don't like people always focus on goals. I don't like goals. I like systems. I like this. I mentioned in a tweet, it was on Instagram. This is when I first connected with Scott Adams. That's something I heard from CGP Grey, which is a very famous YouTuber, podcaster. And it turns out that was from Scott Adams, from one of his books many years prior. I didn't realize that's where Gray got it from. But this whole philosophy of focus on the systems that can give you regular results and point you in a direction, and that way you're a little bit more malleable in terms of the goal shifting and changing, because we all know our goals will change. That's what I was always frustrated with growing up. Good morning, K9. I think they got rid of the Arrive came based on the Peckford case. Bombshells happened this week. In the case, good for us, bad for the Liberals. I'm going to reserve my opinion and comments around Peckford and the people around Peckford and what they're doing until after we see the results. And there's a reason for that, and it relates to the Freedom Convoy and what was going on behind the scenes, and some of the people that were surrounding us. So maybe it could be. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure the government is as worried as we think they are. But I could be wrong. It is what it is. But anyways, so this summons is related to the hearing we've all been hearing about, and will occur sometime in October or November. I'm not sure what it is. But as soon as I know details, I will let you know. I will keep you all apprised, and I will promise you one thing. Much like during the convoy, and as I mentioned when I started this stream, I will never lie to you. I will just tell you exactly what's happened, whether people like it or accept it or not. There will be some issues that will arise, and I'm worried about people slipping into cognitive dissonance, especially around the issue of the sabotage of the Freedom Convoy, if that comes up. And people are not going to like it, but I'm sorry. The truth is the truth. These are just the facts on the ground. And I promise you all, I will tell you directly what's going on. So anyways, that's how I started my day after our little stream yesterday and our little conversation. Yes, my husband and I have been fans of Scott Adams for years. Yeah, and I should have told this to Scott. I don't think I did. The way I got to Scott Adams was not actually through like Dilbert. That's what he's most famous for. The way I got onto him was many years ago. I read Cialdini. I started with Cialdini's book, Influence, and then I read a whole bunch of books on habits, on communications, marketing. Read a couple of books on just fonts, what fonts to use to communicate a certain message. That is an interesting science in itself, which is what we're actually dealing with the book cover right now. And so I got to Scott Adams. I was looking for, I was searching Cialdini and podcast, like that kind of space, and boom, Scott Adams popped up, and he had just started, I don't know, maybe 2 months prior. Like it was really in the beginning of when he started his podcast stream. And so I just started listening, and then, I don't know, a couple episodes in, when he mentioned Dilbert, I'm like, oh, you created that cartoon that all my friends in school loved, that I never really, I've seen it, it's funny, but I've never been a comic guy. And yeah, so it wasn't Dilbert that brought me into Scott Adams' world. It was Cialdini. So if you end up connecting with him and talking to him, just let him know that. So it's going to be a little bit short today because I have a meeting with my editor, a big meeting today, a very important one. So I want to talk about this particular thing. Good morning, Brenda. Thank you for being here. So Canada has turned into complete clown world everywhere, on every level. It's hysterical. We've all seen what's happened with that teacher. I don't need to go into the details, in Oakville, Trafalgar, and the ensuing protest that has resulted as a result of it. So it's gone all over the world, all over U.S. alternative media. I don't know if it's on. I don't watch fake news. Does anybody know if that teacher in Oakville has been on mainstream legacy media, or are they just continuing to lie by omission and just not telling people? I would assume that's what's going on, but if you can tell me in the chat, let me know. But I found it really interesting. So this whole debauchery is going on, and people are getting, I don't know, they're getting upset, obviously, and they talk about saw TNC, Harrison Faulkner said MSC was not at the protest. Of course they weren't. Listen, they weren't at the Freedom Convoy, which was the largest protest in Canadian history. Why would they be there? They're so useless. Oh my God. Like, they're just PR agents. And, to be a good PR agent, you just got to be good at lying, right? Which is why I was never a good PR agent unless I believe in the topic. Anyways, so they had this issue's been going on with this teacher. Comedians are making fun of it. Cartoons are making fun of it. It's all over the place. So once again, we have a prime minister who wears blackface and forgets how many times he's done it. Clearly has not seen Mississippi burning. And then we have this sort of nonsense and a whole bunch of other nonsense that's going on in Canada. It's been going on for years, since 2015, 2016 is when this really got in a high gear. And I thought to myself, like, people are really upset about, about what's going on. And then I saw this protest yesterday. So there was a big protest of parents who have students that go to this school in Oakville. And some people were outraged, of course they're outraged that teachers' human rights and blah, blah, blah. And then there's other people obviously who are against the teacher. And I thought, like, this is good news. This is amazing news. And people just can't tell the difference between the two. What's the amazing news? Yeah, okay, the teachers, I mean, the best thing would be if the teacher is a conservative and comes out and says, okay, I was just acting. Look how crazy your school system has become. Like, that would be amazing. That would be epic trolling. But assuming that it's not, the fact that all these parents are now, we always talk about the silent majority. they're always too silent. Well, now they're not silent. I saw the size of the crowd at that school. Wow, it's huge. There are thousands of people there. And that's good. That's the positive. The positive is it's not a negative story that teachers were out in protest. It's a positive story that teachers are fed up with the objectification that's entered our school system, and they're pushing back against the school board, and I guess ultimately the Minister of Education. So it's not going to end here. This is going to go on for a while, and I'm sure you're going to start to see some groups that are forming. Hopefully they won't be groups that are sabotaged. So anybody who does form, be aware of people with money who start sprinkling money around in your direction. We call it hush money. But anyways, a lot of hush money has gone around, by the way, over the past 6 months. And I know exactly who's paying for it. So be aware of that. But I'm assuming there's going to be a community group. The teachers are going to form and come together and all that sort of stuff. Teachers, parents are going to come together, and they're going to become active, and they're going to help push back against what we've all been concerned about for so long. So this is amazing. This is, your middle class, upper middle class, whatever, silent majority, working class people, all of them coming together and say, it's enough. I wonder if the FBI will. Well, they can't. It's Canada, right? Remember the FBI tried to do that in the United States. So I don't think we're at that level in Canada amongst our 3-letter organizations, but or 4-letter organizations. But I think this is amazing. And anybody who tries to paint this as a negative, you just got to make sure they understand that this is not a negative. This is a positive. Yeah, it's a negative that the teacher is there and he's doing this clown world nonsense. But it's a positive in the fact that parents have had enough, and they've decided, okay, we've now crossed the line. The line is over. Now we're not going to cross any longer. And hell hath no fury like a soccer mom scorned, right? And I mean that as a compliment, not as an insult. And I wish them all the best, and we'll see what happens. I'm willing to bet there's a lot of bureaucrats who are quite worried right now and trying to save their own asses and try to figure out who they can throw under the bus, because that's what they do, right? They'll never take responsibility themselves. They'll just try to find a fall guy to blame for it. Beth says, don't piss off Mama Bear. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth. And when you get to that point, that's when it's at the end, right? When you got the mothers pissed off and they're now getting involved, now this ideology is over. It's just a matter of how long is it going to take to turn the course, but it will. It's just going to take time. So that's good news that people think is bad news. I don't know. I think it's amazing that teacher went out and did this. I just wish it was just a troll. If it was just a troll, that would have been perfect. But if the guy is mentally ill, then it's going to give a lot of leverage to parents and families in the community that are fed up with this stuff. So this is good. This is good. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about before I leave, just very quickly, if you don't have any other comments. Oh, wait, what do you got? Tonight is... Oh, let me just start that. Tonight is going to be the Punchy McGregor documentary. Okay, so to give a little context so you all understand it. Punchy McGregor, who was my mascot during the Freedom Convoy in Ottawa, who was stalking my hotel room, and special thanks to Salman Sima for taking the list of media that was invited to come to our press conferences and telling everybody to take their ball and go home. Punchy McGregor from CTV didn't get that message, was stalking us outside my hotel room, and which is where it was a suite, so we had a room for press conferences, and was very quickly escorted off the premises by the management of the hotel. So thank you to the Sheraton Hotel in Ottawa for doing that. I will now consider staying at your hotel again next time I'm in Ottawa, which, as I mentioned earlier, will be during this commission where I've been summoned to testify. So, Punchy McGregor put together this fake documentary about the Freedom Convoy. It's all scary music and black and white, and it's so funny. I mentioned before, I've watched the first, 10 minutes or so, and I found it very, very entertaining. So I thought what we can do, I've never done a video like this before, or any sort of live stream like this, so it might end up being a complete train wreck. I don't know. Who cares? What I thought is, since nobody's watched his BS documentary, what we can do is we could actually watch it together tonight. And for those of you who aren't going out tonight. So I thought, I already got some drinks. I'm not a big drinker at all. And so I got my Smirnoff Ice, don't laugh at me. And I'm going to set up tonight at 8 o'clock, turn on the stream. Jennifer helped me last week trying to put this all together. And I will put the stream on screen, and we'll look at it, we'll watch it together. And I will give you kind of the background because it's deceptively edited, so it's difficult because the timeline doesn't all line up. But I can give some context to some of the stuff that was going on, and just talk about the marketing, the persuasion, the tactics that they're using to poison the well, right? To get everybody to have a certain emotional reaction to it, as opposed to news. I mean, that's why fake news is fake news. It's just all emotive and trying to get people to react negatively and fear-mongering. So that's my guess, is that's what the entire broadcast is going to be. So why not spend a couple of hours with you guys, however many of you show up, and have a couple of drinks, relax, and watch it and have some fun and make fun of Punchy's little documentary. I think it'll be great. So that's going to be tonight at 8 o'clock. And I guarantee, I promise you, some technical issues and technical problems. I promise you that. That is just guaranteed. But that's part of the fun of this for me, is just the lightheartedness. And but I'll get it sorted out. We'll get it working. We got it working last week with Jennifer, so I'm sure we can do the same thing today. And we'll watch as much of this that we can endure without wanting to drill a hole in our own heads. So I'm very excited for that. So that is 8 o'clock tonight. I'm going to put it on Locals and on YouTube. And the way I have to do it on Locals, because Locals doesn't actually have an ARM-TP setting for me to put into the encoder. So what I have to do is I have to put it on YouTube and then post the link in Locals, and then I think you'll be able to watch it on Locals in the frame, and you'll see the YouTube stream. At least that's what I'm hoping. As far as Instagram is concerned, I don't know. I don't think there's anything we can do. Maybe I'll get I'll borrow my video editor from one of the podcasts. Maybe I'll get him to do some clips or something for Instagram in the future, and I'll stop hitting the microphone at the same time. So that's going to be 8 o'clock tonight. If you're free and you want some downtime and hang out and have some fun and just have a chill vibe and poke fun at the nonsense that that Punchy McGregor is trying to sell you, which is exactly what it is, then let's do that tonight. And if it goes well, I actually have an idea for kind of the opposite. I have an amazing video, somebody I've communicated with who's produced it. There's some context to it. If this goes well, we can do the opposite with something else that's been sent to me. So let's give it a shot tonight, 8 o'clock. Please just click on my either YouTube or Locals, and you'll be able to watch it. And I will set it up. It's already set up in, you can see it on Twitter and I think on Getter, and I will set it up on Locals, okay? BJ it's a learning curve, BJ. We are good with it. Technical difficulties. Yeah, I mean, look, I've been doing podcasts for so long, and so I can pick it up pretty quickly. But usually, to build a platform, as I mentioned before, to build a podcast platform takes me about between 600 and 800 hours of my time just to build everything out and seed everything and all that sort of stuff. So in what I'm trying to do with this stream is I'm just trying to figure it out as we go along, because I think that's kind of funnier anyways, and more enjoyable to do it with you guys. I had a lot of fun with Jennifer last week, trying to, her looking at the screen and back and forth, and a few of you that were in the chat. It was great, so I really appreciate it. Wicked Evil Lights. Oh yeah, should I put on the Joe Biden lights? Oh God, poor Joe. He has no idea where he is. Poor guy. Agreed. We never stop learning. It's been a learning experience with a bit of fun. Yeah, that's the best way to learn, right? You gotta, like, this whole perspective of holding a positive frame or reframing your life in a positive manner in order to not allow externalities to cause undue stress that's completely unnecessary. That's a skill. It's not an easy skill, and it takes a lot of time. And I've spent a lot of, I was always pretty positive. I was told from a very young kid that if you're positive, you can do just about anything. But even with that, as you go through life, there's lots of negative things that we all experience, as Kiss Junkie has explained to us earlier this week. But that doesn't mean that everything's got to collapse around us. We can reset with that positive frame and then utilize specific tools to remove stress and to clear our minds, and then we can go further. Like, for me, one of the biggest things, and I mentioned getting things done and Dave and Alan before. One of the biggest things that was a stress reliever in my life, and I recommend to everybody, was reading that book, Getting Things Done. Not because the book's an amazing book. It's somebody once said it's a book that could fit on the size of a cue card, and that's kind of true. But what it does is it teaches you and trains you that a system and methodology to clear your mind. And what is that system? That system is, you have capture devices. So anytime I think about anything I need to do, any sort of issue, sometimes you slip by the wayside or you're driving or whatever, you can't really do it. But most of the time, I have a shortcut in my OmniFocus, press a button, and boom, it's captured. It's in my in basket. And now I don't have to think about it. I'm going to think about it at night when I go back through and I structure, what do I need to do and how am I going to do it, right? So it frees your mind and allows your mind to focus specifically on creativity. That's, when I was talking with Jordan, he said, one of the things he said is you have a high degree of creativity. And I said, yeah, but I'm not sure that it's natural. I think it's a muscle in my brain that I exercised. And through a couple of techniques that I'll talk about, James Altucher's technique that he taught me as well. I'll tell a lot of people on the stream too. But it's regular, exercise. It's like going to the gym, but it's going to the gym for your brain. And that's equally important. So that's why, during Freedom Convoy, everybody's freaking out. And I'm sitting in my own time, what are y'all freaking out for? Like, what did you think they're going to respond with, Like when the Ottawa City Council started threatening and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what do you think they're going to do? There's nothing they can do. So, of course, they're going to try to lash out because they need to do their job and they don't know how to do their job because they're incompetent. So, of course, they're going to lash out. Don't worry about it. We'll get it sorted out. They're not evil. We'll come to something. And then, certain people decided to sabotage us. We've been a lot farther ahead had we not been sabotaged, unfortunately. But as I've learned, that is a common occurrence in Canadian politics and not unique to the Freedom Convoy. So what are you going to do? Esta la vida. All right, so last couple of comments, and then I got to run because I'm going to be late today. Being positive is a skill, but it's also a choice. 100%. 100%. It's a choice, but some people make the choice, but they don't have the skill sets to do it. But thank God for YouTube and the internet that allows people to kind of reach all these people. There's so many different systems. Like, I found a system that works for me, and I'll explain one day why it works for me. And because we're all different, we got to know what our strengths and weaknesses are and understand how we operate. So I found a system that works for me the way I operate, and it's amazing. But it took me a long time to get to that. I also, one of the things is I time track. Now, sometimes I miss it, sometimes I don't. I'm getting a little bit better. I'm programming my focus on my Apple platform, it's on your phone or your computer, whatever, to tie in with shortcuts. So when I switch focuses, it automatically, logs it in my toggle track so I can get a sense of what I'm spending my time on. And so there's all sorts of little things that you can do that help to alleviate stress, and you can then focus all your time on energy, on creativity and thinking. So she says, I'm just reading a couple of comments on locals because I thank you guys so much for being there. I love you for it. That's awesome. Blah, blah, blah. Once you make the choice to look at things in a positive light, it makes things easier to handle. 100%. I agree. And I think this is what Scott Adams is getting to when he talks about his stepson, who also, died because of fentanyl. And anyways, Kiss Junkie says, you're doing great because you have the right attitude. Listen, I'm not perfect. There's sometimes I get really annoyed and get angry, but I'm really quick to turn it off. And some of it's just, you just got to vent a little bit of energy and then, okay, now back to the positive frame. It happens. But everybody can learn it, and everyone can learn and understand how to maintain their frame throughout their life to stay in that position of positivity. And then, you know what? All the little ancillary things that we think are huge, like, you have a house, you can't refi the mortgage, whatever. You know what? You're so adaptable. We're all adaptable. You'll work through it. Because I know that's a common thing that people go through. I don't. And but all of those things as well can be easily managed if you're not in a state of anxiety. And I think that's what it's all about, is getting out of that state of anxiety. Okay, I have to run, and because I'm going to be late, I will talk to you all later on today. So 8 o'clock tonight, here, wherever you're watching it, we're going to watch Punchy McGregor's fake documentary about the Freedom Convoy. Get some drinks, some beers, or whatever you want. That's going to help you enjoy the space a little bit more, or just kind of join. And the chats will be open. We'll be watching. I'll be stopping and pausing, and we'll be talking about making fun of parts of it. And let's just make a night of it and have some fun together. I think it's going to be amazing. And for everybody who is on Instagram, I don't know how to plug in the stream to Instagram. So either join the honkingforfreedom.locals.com or go to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/BJD online. So my initials, BJD online. And be there at 8 o'clock tonight, and let's have some fun and watch it. And that's it for today. So love you guys, and make sure, don't forget, be good to people and be kind to strangers. It's going to make you feel better. Gotta run.